So today I really want to answer two questions. And the first question is Leatherman abandoning the Leatherman wave? And I really hope it isn't. And the second question is the wave even better than the Leatherman arc? So let's go ahead. The first question. One of the things I ran across recently on multitool.org was an email from Leatherman where they list the best multi-tools in 2024 according to them. Now, some of you probably got the list. Unfortunately, I love Leatherman tools. I've got a ton of them, probably a couple $1,000 worth. But unfortunately, Leatherman doesn't like me that well. And so I maybe get one email a year from them. It seems like I don't get very much. So they came out with this list of the best multi-tools they've ever made. And the list, the best multi-tool ever made, they said was the Leatherman arc. Now, I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like the Wave platform is probably the best multi-tool they've ever made. It's been around for a while. It's proven the arc is great. There's a lot of innovation, but I'm not sure if it's the best. What about the Crunch? What about the Mutt? What about some of these very innovative tools from Leatherman? And then they go on and they relegate the Wave to international bestseller. Well, I think that's sort of underselling the Wave. I think it's worth a lot more than that. Then they talk about the best multi-tool for outdoor adventure is the Signal, which, all right. And then they talk about the best multi-tool for hard work is the 300, which really I would definitely pick my Surge. And then the best minimalist one is the Skeletal CX. And I don't think this is a CX, but I have this Skeletal. And then they talk about the free K4 and the T4 as some of the best tools for multi-purpose knife and a problem solver. Well, anyway, I'm not a huge fan of Leatherman's venture into the knife world, but that's that. Now, the best trauma shear, and this is a reproduction, unfortunately, of the Raptor, but I think the Raptor is really good. I like that one. And then the rebar they talked about as the best tool for do-it-yourself, which maybe some people would agree with. And then the Micra as the best mini tool, which essentially that's the only one they have. So they didn't have too many choices there because they've gotten rid of most of their other ones. So is Leatherman abandoning the Wave? Well, I think with all these clones getting better, especially the DL7 and the SQT, some of these really getting pretty good, actually. I think Leatherman is trying to transition to more modern platforms that they feel like they won't be copied as much, which we'll see if that saves them or not. And I'm afraid that the Leatherman Wave will get left in the dust. So we don't see, it seems like Leatherman is definitely focused on the arc and tools more in that vein. So we'll see what happens. But I would love to see Leatherman actually resurrect the Wave and add some new tools, some new tool sets from time to time, add a new tool on the outside. I think that would breathe fresh air into the platform, and it would just be really good for the community. Now, let's jump into the second question. Why should you buy a Wave over the Arc? Well, I think the first thing definitely is price. Are you kidding? $119, $230 some dollars. I have heard many of you say if you buy the Arc overseas, what's $300, $400, $500, whatever your currency is, outrageous, insane. Now, if you have to pay that much for a Leatherman Arc, will you carry it? To be honest, I keep mine in my toolbox because I'm afraid I'll lose it. I would much prefer to beat up something like my day camping DL7, and who cares if it breaks to some extent. But with this one, the Arc, anything over $200, that makes me a little nervous. So now I know a lot of you say, well, if you buy it, it's a tool, just use it and abuse it. Maybe so, but still over that $200 mark is a little too much for me. So a lot of times the Arc does stay in the toolbox. And now I carried it a while when it first came out so I could review it and so forth. But now a lot of times it stays in the toolbox. Now the Wave at $120, I see that a lot more reasonable, something to carry. Yes, it's a little bit more expensive than some other tools, but again, it's about half the price. So this comes in at 8.5 ounces, this 8.6 ounces, this at 240 grams. So they're pretty close to the same weight size. So lower cost, I think, is the first reason why a lot of people will definitely still pick the Wave, perhaps. And then I think the second reason is because it's more traditional. Now, these are 2 points perhaps tied into one. It's more traditional, and part of that traditional is it's got interior protected tools. So I think I'm going to count those as 2 things. Now, probably some of you will disagree with me, but to some extent, I was thinking about this. Why do I love this outside system of tools? So by and large, I'm a huge fan of all the tools being accessible. But I'm okay with the Wave and the Surge having just 4 outside accessible tools than having to open the tool to get to the interior tool set. I thought, why is that? And I thought, I think to some extent our brain has been trained, especially growing up using pocket knives, of having one tool come out of a handle. And to some extent, the brilliant part of the Leatherman Wave is it's almost like 4 pocket knives in one. So you've got that feel of 4 pocket knives just readily accessible at once. And of course, some of them are saws and files, but you get the idea. One tool coming out of a handle. And I don't mind opening this up again for the screwdriver or some of the tools I don't use as much. But I really like this more traditional aspect of opening a tool set. Now, again, maybe that's crazy, it probably is. But on the Arc, obviously, it's like one huge pocket knife where you can just open up all these tools at once. And a lot of people would say, oh, that's so much better. Maybe it is, but I feel like it's not as traditional and it's a little different. And anytime things are different, it takes a little while to get used to it. And maybe that's part of the reason why people really love the Wave, because it's more of that traditional aspect we've gotten used to. All right, so maybe that's crazy, maybe it's not. The second point, though, I think is valid, and that is that a lot of these tools are protected inside, and a lot of people will really like that. So I think people still, when I talk about the rebar and the super tool, that's what comes up. Well, the tools are protected inside. And so to some extent, that Wave has a best of both worlds, rather. It has tools on the outside and the inside, so you get both, more of the modern aspect, but then you get the interior protected tools as well. All right, so let's go on to the next one. And this is a little controversial, perhaps. Proven durability. Is the Wave proven durable tool? Well, I would say yes, and I'm going to quantify this. I still think Leatherman makes some of the best tools out there. I think some of the most durable tools out there, but I have to sort of say that with that, I have seen the most pliers broken ever from the Wave. And I think that's probably because the Wave has sold so many units, but some of you have mentioned, oh, I just got a brand new Chinese tool you mentioned, and I broke the pliers right away. But with the Wave, you see broken pliers all the time. You go onto Facebook or some of these perhaps Reddit groups about Leatherman tools and all kinds of places, and it seems like always someone has broken their plier and they say, now what do I do? I've broken the tip off. I've broken it, all the way down to here. What happens now? And I think that's because a lot of people are trying to use their Wave or their tool in the way they shouldn't. So keep that in mind. It does have proven durability within its limits, and that is very important to mention. This will not be the same as a huge set of side cutters. This is not the same durability. So keep that in mind. Also, I think when you talk about the Arc, one of the issues that will always be there, as long as they keep this, is the magnets. So some people will love them. I personally really like the magnets. I haven't had any issues with them, and I like that fidget factor, but a lot of people will hate the magnets because they feel like it just clogs the tool up with metal shavings, and perhaps that is true for you. I haven't had that be an issue with mine when I carried it to work, but keep that in mind. That might be an issue. And so that's pretty much what I find as my list of 5 or so reasons. Again, some of those I mentioned together, but I think those are different reasons why some people will still prefer the Wave over the Arc. And I really hope Leatherman doesn't just throw the Wave in the background and slowly get rid of it like they are the P2 and the P4, it seems like. But I hope they do keep the Wave and the Charge around, and not just keep them around for a while. Like the Crunch, they just sort of let them stagnate. And I think that's something you can't do. You need to add a new tool every couple years, do something to keep them alive and refresh them. And I hope Leatherman does that.